All right, we will call the meeting to order. We have a shared vision in the Fern Ridge School District, provide excellence for every student so that each will reach their greatest potential. We are always happy to have parents and other community members at our meetings. Thank you to the members of the public who have joined us. As a reminder, school board meetings and work sessions are meetings of the board held in public, providing an opportunity to observe the board's discussions and actions. In an effort to conduct official board business, we ask that the audience be respectful and refrain from questions, comments, and unnecessary noise while the board conducts the meeting. There will be an opportunity for citizen comments tonight, but I don't believe we have any. And all the board meetings are live streamed and available on the website. All right. First up, we will have our citizenship board.
Okay, it is my pleasure to announce that the staff of the Fern Ridge Middle School have selected Olivia Wright to be the Fern Ridge School Board Citizen of the Month for May. 9 students were nominated, but Olivia received over 60% of the votes from teachers and classified staff, secretaries and kitchen staff, and everybody all together. Olivia has many amazing qualities that staff notice and appreciate every single day. Mrs. Honstein says she has a great sense of humor and is a positive light in her class. Don't cry, because I'll cry. You can laugh because I'll giggle too, but Mrs. Honstein also says that Olivia encourages others no matter what, and you always know that Olivia herself is giving her best effort. Mr. Piccolo sees Olivia's commitment to academic excellence in his science class, that she is always excited to learn new topics, always willing to help others, and just an exemplary role model for her peers. Olivia also works in our office as an aide. Shelby Humphrey says that Olivia is one of the kindest students in our building. Her confidence has grown leaps and bounds since she first became an office aide. She overcame her initial fear and now handles the phone calls like a pro. She was really afraid for answering when she started. Olivia can be relied on to get things done correctly, and she has a strong attention to detail. And the secretary, Casey Anderson, says that Olivia has the sweetest voice when she is answering phones. Everyone at Fern Ridge Middle School is proud of Olivia and considers her extremely worthy of this honor. Congratulations, Olivia.
Olivia, this report again. I think that Michelle's going to want to take a picture right behind me. Congratulations. Then we'll have you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, if you would, please. And whenever you're ready, you can go ahead and start.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the nation under God.
Thank you, Olivia. Right. There's no objection. We're going to move the middle school presentation right now. I don't believe there's any other. So you're up.
Give me a second. First off, I apologize for any coughing that I do in the next 10 or 15 minutes. I will try not to. So Fern Ridge Middle School, promoting academic, social, and emotional learning and tacos. Always tacos. Fern Ridge Middle School, and this is a quote that I found and it's probably very true. Teaching middle school is an adventure, not just a job. What we believe is the middle school. We believe. I'm getting old, I can't read that. Middle school is not just a junior high school or an extended elementary school. Middle school students are trying to first figure out who they are and then figure out what they want to be. Middle school students are funny, honest, hardworking, engaging, kind, confused, angry, scared, excited, optimistic, worried, and bored, often within the same 5 minutes. Nothing is more important than the work that we do, and no time has a greater impact, for better or for worse, on the lives of our students in middle school. Just from Middle School at a glance, our enrollment is gone down a little bit. It's probably where it was last year. A couple of years ago, pre-COVID, pre all that, we were at like 350, and now we're just about 290, 300. Our daily schedule, we teach core classes, one elective, one exploratory, and then there's a homeroom once a week. And you can see the pictures, see how much our kids change in just 3 years. And it's just incredible. It's an exciting time to teach work with kids this age. Our elective classes, this year, kids had the choice of taking band, music, or choir, art, journalism, keyboarding, history through film, orienteering, and pop culture. Next year, we're going to add a coding graphic design class, and we are also going to have a modern marvels of science. I think we've changed to the 21st century science class. Mr. Piccolo is going to be teaching that, and he's going to be teaching all about recent discoveries in science and replacing art and journalism. Art is actually going to become an exploratory class and not elective. We have the first quarter of the year is our school success classes. We focus on teaching study skills, organization, time management. We teach about the middle school rules and expectations. We teach wellness and stress management, and we build community within our classrooms. A lot of that time, those first 9 weeks, is really getting to know each other and building connections with the kids and between the kids. Our exploratory classes for next year. So our exploratory classes are smaller, shorter classes. They are 4 days a week, 35 minutes, and they change every 9 weeks. So over the course of the year, once the school success is done, students can take a different exploratory second, third, and fourth quarter. And the teachers kind of come up with what they're teaching. And a lot of this is based on individual teacher interests. A lot of it this year, we did a survey of our school with Ms. Marshall's help. We surveyed our students, and they came back with what would they like to change, and they threw a whole bunch of elective ideas at us. And we couldn't make them all electives, but we could make a lot of them exploratories. And so that's what we did. So let's see, we have jazz band, leadership, art, coloring, Spanish, 6th grade survival, drama, business, auto mechanics, life skills for teens, stop motion animation, fitness, walking, football, hoops and games, sports culture, silent reading, strategic games, weightlifting, street conditioning, just all kinds of fun things with the kids' active classes. This year, it's at the beginning of the school day. Next year, we're still in the process of deciding whether it'll be at the end of the day or the beginning of the day. There's pros and cons to both. Homeroom. On that 1 day a week that the exploratory doesn't meet, homeroom meets. Students are in the same homeroom as they were in that school success class. So they've already built a really strong bond with their teacher and with that group. And then they continue to check in and they continue to meet with that group once a week going on. It's a focus on social and emotional learning. We implement the second step curriculum in that class. We do grade checks and planner checks. And like I said, they keep their school success class, and all teachers have a homeroom class. Our new staff. We have some amazing new teachers. Mr. Piccolo, Mr. Davis, Ms. Upton, Mrs. Miller, our student support specialist V, and then our 2 new IAs, well, our 1 new IA, Robin Younger, and our new old counselor, new IA, Mr. Chambers. So kind of recycled counselor with an IA. We love having him in the building in any capacity. Our 3 goals go around student improvement, and attendance and wellness. So department teams work together, prioritizing standards and planning instruction. Teachers use learning targets to ensure clarity. We have school-wide support, such as a math tutoring class. and new curriculums, language arts, math, new curriculum next year in science, and ongoing professional development. Here's our test scores. These are not final, but these are our SBAC results with about, I want to say 85% of the test back. You can see that we're slightly below the state, but only slightly across the board. And then the last couple of years, we've either been slightly below in reading or even equal and slightly above. And then last year in math, slightly below in 6th grade, equal in 7th, and slightly below in 8th. Science assessments, we've had some real good growth in science the last couple of years. And we have this year exceeded what the state did. So 31% of the middle school passed, only 25% of the state passed the science assessments. Oops. So I said our second goal was around positive relationships and school climate, getting students every day. We have homerooms. We create a culture that welcomes all students, clear and consistent expectations. We do a lot of fun events, like our all-school dominoes competition. We have a student support specialist in Miss V. We have a Pass IA and Miss Danielle, and both of them do amazing. We have PBIS incentives, and we have PBIS boosters that we base the PBS on. I'm just gonna mess up someplace, you know. PBIS boosters that are based on PBIS data. And what I want to show you and point out is this is our new board that kids can see when we come in the office. Our leadership team has been doing a good job updating it every week. We put the kids' birthdays and then any big events that are happening that week. We haven't had access to our reader board out in the front because of it's been needing to be repaired, and it actually, I don't know if you guys noticed, but they actually started working on it. We're so excited, and they're going to rehab it over the summer so we can have it back again next year. Very, very excited. We're very grateful to Dan for taking that on. But in lieu of a reader board, this has been part of our communication communication with kids and keeping them involved and aware. So our PBIS data. So you can see that for the most of the months in 23-24, we've had fewer referrals than in 22-23. So about the same, a little bit more, about the same in September and October, and then we start to kind of go up a little crazy again in December, and then we get back to kind of a normal. I think what you find in September and October is that the teachers are setting expectations, and part of that setting expectations generally could involve more referrals, just because they want to make the rules clear and concrete to the kids. So we're starting out tough, and then we can. Our school climate, that's part of that school building positive relationships. Again, I think I mentioned that I'm old, and okay, so the blue question is, I have at least one adult in the school I can go to for help, and you can see that the majority of our kids feel that they do. The green question is, I feel accepted at this school for who I am. Again, you can see that the overwhelming majority of our kids do feel accepted. The red question is, school staff help me to learn about and understand opportunities for my future. And the purple question, I care about other students at my school and want them to succeed. So I think all of this climate data from our would indicates to me and to the leadership team of the school that we're doing well on this one. We could continue to do better, and we always do. But we're happy that the kids are kind of connecting with each other and building a community. Our final goal is improving student attendance. We send nudge letters home each quarter. Those are just friendly reminders to families about their kids' attendance. It gives the school overall average attendance, and then it gives them their kids' attendance. We do phone calls and outreach to individual students and families who are chronically absent, and then we have a lot of positive attendance rewards and incentives. One of the ones that we're doing right now is the surprise prizes for classes with all students on time. So that's been kind of fun, where we're like 10 minutes into a class period, we'll get on the PA and we'll say, if everybody in your class was on time today, send someone to the office to get your tickets. They get tickets, the kids fill them out, they bring them back, and we do drawings at the end of the day to give out prizes. And you can see that our attendance, our goal is 80%, which is the state goal for us. And we're not at that, but we're getting close to it. And you can see that in the second chart over here, the state comparison, we are mostly above the state. So regular attenders are the kids in the dark blue, are the kids who is the percentage of kids who attend on a regular basis, which is not missing more than 2 days a month, right? Ish.
90%.
Yeah. Who attend 90% of the time or more, and the light blue are the kids who don't make that 90% criteria. And you can see that our blues are higher or just as high as the state, which is what we want to see. If you have questions, I'm throwing a lot at you, so yes. Oh, positive behavior.
Enforcement.
Intervention systems. Thank you. I always forget whether it's intervention or instruction. Okay, and then you can see there's our monthly attendance data. This needs to be in the 90 to 95, because I think they would love us to be above 95. But the 90 to 95 is okay, and we are above that. So we have had several after-school clubs this year, and thank you to Michelle Marshall and the SMNE for helping make these possible, and to our teachers who have volunteered lunch clubs. So like Deborah Lloyd, who's here tonight, she does a handwriting lunch club and a spelling lunch club on her own time during her own lunch. She invites the kids in and they do fun activities, and the kids I know the kids really love it, because they were really, really disappointed when you didn't do it last week. And I heard about that. And then the after school clubs are the ones that the ESSA helps support. And then we have a comic books one. We have with Mr. Piccolo. We have outdoor adventures with Miss Danielle. We have yoga after school with Miss Hardy. And then we have a homework club once a week to help kids with their homework. So lots going on there. And then I'll turn it over to Mrs. Babcock, who is our leadership advisor. With our leadership students.
Yes, I did bring just a few of my leadership students with me tonight. So our big push this year was building community, not only within our leadership class, but all of our buildings. So Ms. Johnson already brought up our birthday board that we've been doing this year. We've been writing announcements and including important student events in those announcements. So I'll let them introduce themselves. I am Ms. Babcock. I'm the student advisor, or the student supervisor.
I'm Sarah Story, and I'm the student volunteer person. I'm Paisley Davis, and I'm the spirit coordinator. I'm new.
I'm Marcel Romero, and I'm also a team member.
All right, so this is just a few of my kids. I have 25 kids this year in my leadership class. I built that from, it was 11 the first year I took it over. I popped that up to 18 last year, and then we jumped up to 25 this year. It's definitely been an adventure. I've got all their names up there. A couple of my officers could not be here tonight, but they are still represented up there. My treasurer, Bailey Royer. My community outreach officer is Lily Melton. Secretary is Connor Van Sickle. And then the rest of them tonight. And then my other members are Lila Cooper, Connor Putsford, Ashley Davidson, Haley is here tonight, Jaslyn Hill, Olivia Lasby, Kiki Mose, Lonnie is also here tonight, Hunter Rankin, Sydney Rankin, Coleman Renville, Reese is here tonight, Marcel is here tonight, Kylie Shower, Victoria Shoemaker, Ruth Schultz, London is here tonight, Noah Stresham, and Rose Walker.
Okay, so we had 4 fundraisers this year that we did, and they were all super fun, and we did make money off of some of them. The first fundraiser that we did that was primarily based around making money for our dances was our Fill the Cauldron, and that was around October, and it was where we stood on the sidewalk every morning and asked people if they just wanted to donate for our dance and for other things that we ended up doing. And then we did butter braids, which were these pastries that each of us got a paper for, all of leadership class, not just people here, got a paper for, and we went around. Some people went door to doors, some people did phone calls. It didn't really matter, but we sold a bunch of pastries and then we dropped them off or people came and picked them up, depending on your relationship to the person you sold to. And then our staff versus student basketball game was is it 2? So I guess we only did 3. My bad. I read it at 4. Our staff versus student basketball game was super fun. We had most of our staff members who were able to participate in playing basketball and who wanted to go against a group of students that got signed up. There were 2 different teams for students because a lot of 8th grade students wanted to sign up. Specifically, 8th graders were only allowed to play, girls and boys, and they basically just had a basketball game. And we sold concessions. We had some students be our refs. You were able to buy points eventually towards the end of the game, and it was lots of fun. I think that's about it.
So which ones made money?
All of them made
Okay.
All of them?
Our more lucrative ones were the butter braids and the
Yeah.
Fill the Cauldron, because Fill the Cauldron had 0 costs involved other than us buying
Right.
the cauldron. Butter braids had a little more cost involved, but we did make a little more money as well. Staff versus student basketball game. We kept it really low key this year and didn't have as much raffles and stuff like that involved. And so we brought in just a little bit of just a couple $100 with that one, but still,
But it was fun.
it was, yeah, it
That
was
was-
designed more to be able to, in order to be a community event where we got to invite the community in for just have fun. Sessions.
Also in glow dance and the glow dance and the spring fling had an open gym. So if the kids didn't want to dance, they could go play basketball or shoot hoops or whatever in the gym.
And then the
Sometimes they
Valentine's
went back
dance,
and forth.
the Valentine's dance, we weren't able to have open gym, but we did have an art center that was fairly. And on none of our dances are formal, because we like to include that. So, you can dress up or not.
This year we had a bunch of community outreach and community events, and we volunteered at many community events, including the Heart of the Community, EES Art Night, EES Halloween Carnival, Santa Project, and we also built a float for the homecoming parade.
Again, this was our big thing that we were working on this year, to be able to get my kids out into the community volunteering where they were needed. So we reached out to both the elementary schools, just to make sure that they knew that we were available to volunteer with. Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Thank
for
you.
that. Very-
Next, I'm gonna turn it over to Deborah Lloyd, who coordinates our social strength program. We just really started a little bit last year though.
This is our first strong year, getting things rolling with sources of strength. We have 6th and 7th graders this year, and they are peer leaders. I'm the advisor. We have 3 other advisors, and we rotate through so that we keep things fresh and moving along. And it's an evidence-based program that builds a foundation of community with peer representatives from a number of different areas in our school culture. And we work on building community within our sources group and then extending and pushing that out. We're doing some campaigns, and the current campaign, I did, if I may borrow Lonnie, yes, you had some things to share about the campaign that you guys are working on. So the peers really focus on working on these things themselves, and we're just there to kind of guide them. So tell us about your campaign that you guys are just getting rolling.
We started working on trying to make a website that help people with a bunch of resources for when they're in need. And we were talking about maybe making podcasts.
So the kids talk about like what can they lean into when times get kind of difficult. Emotions maybe are strong in one way or another, or maybe they are just feeling down or bored even. Like what can they lean into? And so that's what they are wanting to work on, is building that resource with QR code for access. And so that's just rolling together. I think we have one more slide. That one of the projects they did, just to build community within their own group, was talking about what are they grateful for that really just makes leaning into different things a little easier. What gives them that strength to keep pushing forward in the tough stuff, the tough work, and the tough time. So is that there's our group. They play some games together to build community. They interact with each other. They interact with the advisors, and we have Jesse Light as an advisor. We have Marty Fuentes as an advisor, and we also have River Hardy as an advisor. And they each have their specific strengths. Jesse Light's job is to really play games, build a sense of fun with the students that they can then build that fun outward into their own little groups that they interact with as students. Marty Fuentes works with the campaigns, pushing campaigns out, working with the peers to figure out what campaigns they're mostly interested in doing that they can push out into the community. And then River Hardy focuses on helping those kids develop some more sense of the social emotional connection. Thank you.
We work hard to inform about what's happening at the school. So we have our weekly news. The leadership team has taken on the daily announcements. So they write them and they present them. Paisley is the voice of Fern Ridge Middle School, and she's on that PA system every morning and does a great job. We have a journalism class, and they produce an online newspaper, and that is available on Schoology for all the kids to access. And then I don't know if you guys have ever seen it. And if you haven't, let me know and I'll forward the links to you. But Mr. Brummett's class does an amazing news, Fern Ridge Middle School news. And that goes out to all the teachers, and the kids get to watch it every week, and they have a blast doing it. They cover, they do interviews with kids on that news. They talk about the weather, lunches, sports programs, and his kids like I said, they have a really good time doing it. And if you ever haven't seen it, you should see it. And if you want the link, I will be happy to forward it to you, because it's really cute, really, really cute. Okay, and then. So we did a little bit of a Q&A with kids. What do they think makes middle school awesome? And these were some of the responses. We're welcoming and accepting. We have a supportive staff, mutually respect and fun, lots of opportunities for different talents and interests, the after school club. We give a shout out to the sports because the sports is not us. It is TSP, kids sports and all the community organizations, but they do a great job in providing sports for our kids. And Angie Hill does a great job as our athletic director. We welcome and care for everyone's ideas and opinions, fundraisers, and that we engage and include students. Sad. My next one is sad. Okay, this is a little bit sad. This is the year that Marianne French is retiring, and she's retiring after 33 years of teaching at Fern Ridge Middle School. She was hired by the Fern Ridge School District on August 27th, 1991. She retires on June 30th, 2024. I wanted to put her in here because I wanted to recognize and thank her for years of hard work and dedication and commitment to the education of our middle school students. Very few teachers spend their entire career at the same school, and what she contributes even after 33 years, she's as vital and important a member of our school staff as she's ever been. She is the kind of person that just, I don't know, if you ask her to do something, she plunges in wholeheartedly. She helps to plan our 6th grade orientation every year. She runs the OBOB, or helps Sherry Cooper runs the OBOB group, and just does an amazing job. And there will be a vacuum in our building. We may have hired a social studies teacher to take her position, but no one can ever replace Marianne Finch in our building. So just wanted to recognize her for a second. And then this is one of my favorite quotes. Perhaps what matters when all is said and done is not who puts us down, but who picks us up. And I think that kind of symbolizes middle school. There may be kids there may be things that put us down, but we have our friends and our family and our staff to pick us back up again. I want to thank you for your continued support. And that's it.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'm so busy reading the articles. I don't think
I don't think she's decided on a name.
I think it's just the Fern Ridge newsletter or something like that. It's not a very exciting name if you're looking for it, but it's a very well done little online newsletter. The kids write things. It's really cute.
And a lot of it is based on interviews and surveys and things they do.
Yeah.
It's really fun.
I can send you guys the link to the Brummage newscast and to Rivers newsletter. I can do that.
Perfect. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Who's gonna be in charge of snacks, the staff meeting now that Marion's gone?
Yeah.
And the whole social committee and the potlucks. Potlucks.
Thank you again.
Okay, leadership education. If you want, but you can also go if you want.
Thank you. Good job, guys. Good job.
Thanks, man.
Thank you, guys.
All right, continuing on with the agenda, we are at monthly items, so approval of the minutes.
And approve minutes from April 8th, 2024 as written. I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Say aye. Motion carries 5-0. All right. Business office enrollment reports.
All right, can you hear me? Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay. This is our enrollment report as of May 1st. Our in-district enrollment is at 1,289, which is one less than last month. According to our budgeted numbers, we are down 57 for in-district enrollment. At the elementary level, we are down 33. At the middle school level, we are down 7. And at the high school level, we are down by 17. And then we're up in district out of placements. We have about 8 more than was originally in our budgeted amounts. Does the board have any questions on the enrollment report?
I don't think so.
No,
Okay. It's pretty close to last month, so.
no, I don't have any questions.
All right, this is our general fund revenue and expense report as of April 30th. We have received 96% of our budgeted revenue. That's slightly lower than the amount we had received at this time last year, which was 101%. But I'm not sure if you recall, but we had also received around 800,000 in timber revenue last year. So that bumped that. That's the reason it was so high this time last year. We've spent 69% of our operating expenditures, which is comparable to last year, which was 68%. I'll just give you a heads up. Next month's our, final month. Actually, May's will be on there. So I'll give you a heads up for June, because I know there were some questions about March. June is the month we do our triple pay for all of our 10-month employees and licensed employees. So be prepared to see large numbers that month. And does anyone have questions on that?
That does require board action.
I move that we accept the general fund report through April.
We have a motion and a second to accept the general fund report through April. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Next up is our audit resolution.
Yeah, you should have all received an email that contained the communication to the board, as well as a link to our final audit from the auditors. This resolution 23-24-12 establishes fund balances from 22-23 to be recorded in 23-24, as well as it accepts the audit report. And it does require action by the board. The fund balances reflected in this resolution report are committed balances, which means they are committed to certain purposes, such as the textbook fund, athletic fund, etc. And the auditors require that to be approved by the board.
So we do need to have board action on that for resolution 23-24/12.
I move to accept resolution number 23-24/12. I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to approve resolution 23-24/12. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Juana.
Yes, thank you.
All right, moving down to reports. We'll start off with Gavin today since we've already did the report.
Oh,
You're up.
I wasn't prepared for this yet. Thought I had one more. Let's start. So we had the state track meet that happened Thursday, Friday. So we had a few people that placed there. So William Wazowski placed 4th in javelin, throwing a personal record. Riley Rice finished 4th in the high jump. Petra Archer set the new 9th grade record for the 100 meter hurdles and finished 4th. The boys 4x1 relay team came really close, like super duper close to winning that to be the state champion. Super close. Iowa Frome placed 5th in 800. Both the girls 4x1 relay team and the boys 4x400 relay team reached the podium of 6th and 7th places, along with the athletes that didn't make the podium but still competed really well there. The OSET team competed at state on the 9th through the 12th. They qualified in different events. In the 4-day competition, they won 2 top 10 positions in working pairs and cow sorting. Won 2nd place in the entire state for drill. Earned them a trip to the regional competition in Washington in June. Team worked really hard this year to earn those spots. Baseball and softball wrapped up last week. They had a few makeup games they had to make up, so they wrapped that up last week. Outdoor school started today. All the juniors and seniors, they left yesterday, but all the 5th graders arrived today. There's 40 juniors and seniors that will be attending that as counselors this year. So every year, the high school invites the 8th graders up for Shadows Day. They come up, so today, starting today, the 8th graders will come up, they come up in the morning, and they get a freshman, a 9th grader, that they follow around for 2-3 classes. Learn the high school, learn the schedule. So they do that. So that's today, tomorrow, and Thursday, along with next Tuesday and Thursday. That all ends with a parent night that Thursday, the 30th. So the parents and the students will come to the high school. We'll meet in the cafeteria. We do a dinner at 5:30 for them all. At 6 o'clock, the parents go in the theater usually, and that's with since there usually other staff and people are there. They'll talk to the parents. The leadership team, we take the students and we usually go do something with them. Tour, we play games with them. Last year we gave them Rubber floats at the end of it. So we just take them. It's like free babysitting. That's what it literally is. Free babysitting for the parents. But the 8th graders can still kind of learn a bit and get that advice from the upperclassmen that are there. So I gotta give Dan a shout out. I know he got one today, but he has another one coming for me. Him and his team been working really hard in front of the school today. They have a big trench digged up. They're working on the water supply in the front of the building. Hopefully to get the sprinkler system fixed so we can have some green grass in front of that area. So Dan's been working really hard on that. His team is. This Thursday at 6 p.m. there's a music performance in the theater. So that will be happening. I think the last one they'll be doing this year. These are the quick things. Seniors last day is the June 4th. That's when the last day. Awards night is June 5th. It's a Wednesday. Graduation is the 7th, Friday at 7 p.m. And the last day for 9th, 10th, and 11th graders will be June 14th. So I have. Let's give any questions.
Thanks, Scott. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right. Fern Ridge Education Association.
I'm used to talking over here, so I'm come over this way. All right, so I was gonna give a shout out to Spring Sports and with OSET. I did want to bring up, so they got 2nd place out of 34 teams in drill. And the 4 athletes that competed on that team, Lorraine Alexander, Gage Cooper, Latonia Grado, and Katie Copeland. And I saw Katie at a baseball game recently, and it was just super cool to talk to her and how excited she was to be going to that. So that was very exciting. And then the track at state last week, but Gavin said it all for me. So so when he said really close, it was 1/100th. Coach Wandra sent us a photo finish of Kyler Colwell and another athlete, I think it was Sayuslav, but they were both leaning at the line. Yeah, so 1/100th. But yes, it was amazing to see how well all of our student athletes have been doing recently. And how cool would it have been to be able to host districts for track and field this year. The good news is we can in the near future if the bond passes. I just wanted to give a couple shout outs to some folks. I'd like to thank the school board. I saw kind of all of your presence at various things in terms of supporting the bond, whether you were handwriting postcards, holding signs, putting signs in yards, going on the tour.
making positive posts on social media. We really appreciate it. For the district, providing factual information, and details, and giving parents and community members various opportunities to learn more about the bond, so voters can feel well informed and make the best decision possible. And to the PAC, thank you especially to Maya, Jeremy, and Krista. Thanks for organizing everything, getting the word out, raising money to pay for banners and signs. We appreciate your hard work and dedication to this district and community, and couldn't do this without you. And thanks to everyone in the community who has shown support. And there's still one more day to vote. And then just an upcoming event. So the 5th grade track meet on May 31st, it's a Friday at the high school. I believe it runs from about 8 to 2-ish. And I did get some of the 8th graders in the classroom today, and it was fun to see them interact with the 9th graders and kind of get them engaging with us and asking questions, and 9th graders giving them feedback, kind of advice on to their, start in September, like looking back on what their experience has been like this first year of high school. And so it's just really cool to see those interactions. So that's all I have tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on, Marshall.
Great, I'll start. I'll share my 2-second story about outdoor school since Claire is there right now. And she started the week packing. She's very excited, like just counting down the days to get there. And she said she needed a suitcase. I gotta take a suitcase. I was like, you don't have to take a suitcase. Lots of people take duffel bags. Gotta take a suitcase. Hey Claire, get a suitcase. I just got a text message from outdoor school that she's locked herself out of the suitcase and doesn't know the code. I didn't even know it had a code. So I don't know what that looks like. So we're gonna try to Google how to break into the suitcase. She'll have a suitcase. Go out. I saw some great pictures already. Looks like they're having a lot of fun. Here's my real update. Curriculum science, I'm going to give you guys an update and request board approval for what our teacher team selected. Not right now, but here in a minute. One thing I wanted to share was our English language proficiency adoption. So that's ELP. That's usually adopted along with your ELA, which is your English language arts, reading, writing. ELP is for our students who are non-native speakers. Our current model is a push-in model. So we push into the classroom, support these kids with the materials that we have, we scaffold, we differentiate, and do all of the things that they need. ODE, we had a Title III audit, and ODE wants us to adopt a comprehensive curriculum standalone. So not that they disagree with the model that we're using, but in order to be in compliance with Division 22, we either need to do an independent adoption of all the materials that we scaffold, or we need to adopt something. So right now we have 2 samples on display. Did Deborah leave? We have Deborah Lloyd, who is our past ELD teacher, John Wagner, who is our current, and then our new person that will be coming on next year are all kind of making their recommendation, and then I'll push it out to community like I do for other things. And hopefully by next month, we'll have a recommendation on that one. And that will just get us back in compliance. Next year, the last curriculum thing is health and physical education. So we'll have a proposed timeline super similar to what we do each year. You'll hear about that timeline with science. Integrated plan. We're getting ready to get back into the next cycle of our integrated plan, which includes 7 different programs. It's the high school success, student investment account, continuous improvement planning, career and technical education, everyday matters, early indicator and intervention systems, and now early literacy as well. Throughout the next year, what we'll do is we'll do a bunch of different engagement activities. We'll review our progress. We'll look at our longitudinal performance growth targets, like what we've all been hearing about all year. And then we have to reapply. So it'll be a lot of work, but that's what you do. And you will apply in spring of 2025. June, just another kind of thing for you guys to have on your radar. In June, we'll do our 3rd presentation on those longitudinal performance growth targets. And I just think it's important to understand that a lot of that data is going to be preliminary. Some of it won't be, like our 3rd grade EZC band. That'll be done. We've got it. We think our regular attender data will be accurate as far as what's been submitted to ODE.
we think our ninth grade on track should be fairly accurate. Where we'll look at preliminary data is the third grade OSAS, just because ODE has to validate them. We can say what we're projecting them and what scores are in there, but they won't be validated by the state yet. Same with four-year graduation. But we'll have good ideas on all of those. And then the last thing I just share as a director update is our summer program. So we have our kids in transition to school, which is our little pre-K kinder. We have 2 sessions. There's only 8 slots open or remaining. So that's really great. That's filling right up, and our families continue to be excited about that. Our K-5 program is about half full. So we typically try to cap around 20 kids per class K-5. And I'd say they range from anywhere from 10 to 15 right now. And so I'm not worried about those filling up. And then 9-12, we're not doing any type of a middle school program this year. 9-12, we're going to still offer credit recovery. And the notes that I have, typically we have around 40 students taking 50 classes. And right now we're at 16 students signed up to take 20. But Mr. Cooper thinks that will double in the next few weeks once kids get their grades. So that's all I have for that director update.
All right, thank you. Any questions? All right, moving on, superintendents.
Just a couple things to touch on, follow up on what Gavin said about outdoor school. Those kids return Thursday into school day. Hopefully catch the bus and go home. And Claire is going to smell good if she has for the same attitude.
She's gonna break into it.
As you know, staffing wise for 24-25, our biggest need was around sped teachers. We were adding 1 plus 4 other openings. We've now filled 3 of those, and we have 3 interviews in the next 2 days. So 2 after school tomorrow, 1 after school on Wednesday. So we're continuing to make progress there. A reminder, tomorrow night, 6:30 at the DO for our budget meeting. Planned Parenthood presentations were last week. I attended. I thought they went well. Good questions. The folks were well prepared, smooth. I thought all the information they went over was good. Senate Bill 732. If you recall about this, or you want to go back and look at it, I first discussed it with you in week 35 email update. New law requiring districts to have what's called a DEQ, District Equity Committee. We have a District Equity Committee, but this committee is different requirements. In that email I sent you on the week 35 email, I gave you the link to this document, which is how many pages of fun? 29 pages of fun. And essentially, when they passed this law a couple of years ago, it required districts of 10,000 or more to be up and running this past year. Maybe even the year before, was it 22? Yeah. For districts our size, we have until September of 2025. So we still have 14, 16 months before this needs to take place, but kind of in our current timeline, it's, they lay out a calendar of processes, is just to keep the board informed about this, answer any questions. So again, I'd refer you to this link if you have some questions. We're working on it. Last week, Miss Marshall and I reached out to Springfield Superintendent to see if we could get some help on the bigger districts. They kind of have a standalone position around equity. So Springfield has their own equity person who coordinates all of this. So we met with him, and he was able to go through their process, what they did, how they established the application, the criteria, how the first years went, what's gone well, gave us some tips, also shared all his documents with us. So internally, really all we've done, we've talked to our district equity committee that Ms. Marshall leads, and they're going to help us in this process over the next 12 months around what we want it to look like in Fern Ridge, how we can reach out to folks, get the word out, how we can get applications. And then the school board, I believe it's around next summer, you'll be the one that approves the members essentially. All of applications, And then I'll make a recommendation to you around July of 2025, around who to be on the committee. And they'll be off and running with their first meeting required to have occurred by September 15th, 2025. So more information to come, but probably every other month or so over the next year, you'll hear me talking about this or sharing our progress where we're at. Let's see. Last thing I wanted to do was recognize Gavin. This is the first year of our just having a student representative on the board. And we had one quitter, but Gavin stuck through. So good job, Gavin.
Yes.
Yes. He's done a great job. Anytime I'm over there at the high school, he's kind of like the assistant principal there. He's in charge of the office. There's a lot happening, and Gavin is always involved. Make sure you let Dan know that you got a shout out to Gavin, seeing him working out there on the sprinklers. Anyways, Gavin will, so you're welcome to come in June, but you certainly don't have to, Gavin. Gavin, on awards night, will get presented with a $500 scholarship for his attending these meetings. The board chair will give that to him, and he'll be submitting a 500-word essay that I'm sure you're just grinding over before then, to share with the board how his experience went this past year and his thoughts. So I'll make sure you all get a copy of that. So thanks, Gavin.
Thank you very much for always being on time and being enthusiastic.
Nope, that's it.
All right.
About the number 10,000 for this new DE, I voted as a DEC. What was that referring to?
Did I say DEQ? No. Okay. The 10,000 was required for districts that had 10,000 students or more. So in Lane County, it was just Eugene, and actually Springfield only had 9,500, but they just said, let's go ahead and do it there. We're close enough. So probably there's, I would imagine, only 10 districts in the state that had to have it up and running by then. The rest of us, they gave a longer period of time to get up and running.
All right, moving on to discussion items, science curriculum adoption. You want to say anything before we get to the vote, or do you have any? No?
No, well, I'll go through I have just a couple slides to
Great.
review the process, and this will be good because, I mean, it's just, we followed a very similar process for ELA a couple of years ago, and math, and now science. So next year, when we do health and physical education, it'll be a similar timeline. So I think that might just be helpful. Pretty much it's a year-long process. In the fall, you get a team together. It's usually the departments. If they teach science, the middle school and high school, they'll be on the team. If they teach math, they'll be on the team. Elementary, it's a little bit trickier because you're trying to find a representative from K2 and 3-5, oftentimes one from each building. So you have quite a few more elementary folks. And then their process looks different taking it back to the school, because a department will go back and share, yep, this is what we're choosing, but it doesn't really impact the other teachers. So the elementary teachers do a little bit more work around that. What happens in the winter is they'll get the list of evaluated curriculums from ODE, because ODE will publish. These met our standards, they're approved. If you want to adopt these, all you have to do is buy them. Well, ODE is kind of looking over that process, because right now to get on that list, you have to pay money. And so there's a lot of stress within the state of saying, why are these programs that are great programs, schools have to do independent adoption, which is a lot of work, when they're just as good as these other programs, but they didn't pay the fee. So, so that will be interesting, but that's the process they use right now. So then what we do is, once we get those materials that were submitted to ODE, we can pull samples, we can watch publisher videos, we can go to the websites, we can get demos. The adoption team in the beginning oftentimes tries to just get rid of a few, because there can be anywhere from 4 to 15 that have met the criteria. So really the first step is trying to just weed out what they know they don't like or what they can't agree on. And then they kind of find those 2 to 4 and they really dig in. They might pilot, they might reach out to other schools. They'll bring it back to their building, and we'll get really intensive samples of those things if we can. Then that's kind of through the spring, we push out what our top choices are, try to get feedback. Our samples have been in the boardroom since April. 2 people have come to look at them. Lisa was one. And we've had 0 input on our form. So not a lot of people are interested in what we're choosing for science, but that's okay. That's why the teachers put in so much time and energy. And then once we adopt, then we kind of push out a PD plan, we order materials, and then it'll be in the classroom in September. So that's kind of our timeline. And we follow that very similar timeline for each program, or have it for the last couple of years. So our K-5 team was Amara from Elmira, Erica McGuire from Veneta, and both building administrators helped. And these were the elementary, they were just kind of the spearheads, those monthly meetings. They went to different professional developments that were offered by Laney SD, and then they brought everything back to their buildings. All 3 of the, well, 2 of the 3 science teachers from the middle school came to every meeting. They went back and shared. There was a 3rd teacher, Nick James, that they would take back and forth stuff. And then same with the high school, 2 of the 3 department teachers and all the building administrators helped. A lot of these teachers also participated in a lot of different additional professional development, which is really great because they did a lot of learning for themselves. And so it helped them understand the new standards and the updated standards and what we need to be doing in science right now. Our selected materials for K-5 was mystery science, and that's just scratched myself. Mystery science is what we have right now in elementary, but what we're going to do is we're going to supplant it with the mystery kits and purchase some more materials so that, and then create this scope and sequence and common agreements and just really intensify it. And it wasn't our first choice initially. The elementary teams initially chose Twig, which was a state approved and a really comprehensive program. It was $265,000, which we don't have capacity for. We just can't, it's too much. And so when we got our official quotes back from Twig, we had to go back to the drawing board, and mystery science was one that they wanted originally, but we were trying to not do an independent adoption because it's a lot of work. And so everybody was pleasantly surprised after. I think their frustration was spending the time, because when you spend a lot of time reviewing these curriculums, you take them back in your classroom, you do the work. I wish we would have had an idea of how much it was going to cost and earlier on. Our 6 through 8 team, Amplify came out early for them and stayed in the lead for them the whole time. They were also looking at Twig for a little bit, but when they had 2 different teachers piloting, they all decided they wanted Amplify. The high school is doing a hybrid, so they're doing a little bit of both. They're doing Savvis for biology and AP anatomy, and then Patterns, which is an open forum, Oregon approved free curriculum online, which is lovely because the way curriculum changes so much now, being able to just have an open access is handy and affordable. We have James Monaghan has been trained in Patterns multiple times, so that'll be the chemistry and physics. The different types of input we got, K-5 choices were reviewed and shared with all K-5 teachers, and that happened multiple times with the Twig and then with mystery science. 6-12 departments worked together to review and select final materials. Samples were available at the district office. Community input survey was pushed out twice, and digital materials shared via Parent Square for families. So all of our families had links to all of this material. So any questions about how we got there or where I landed? Sure.
So are you able to find out before you choose it?
Yeah, you are. It's just, it's an intensive process. You can get, so ODE publishes your publisher contacts, and then they'll oftentimes give you an expense sheet. So then you can kind of crunch the numbers yourself. But when you get into the nitty gritty of it, like with Twig, what happened was there were like 17 different components. There's the leveled readers, there's the consumables, there's the digital seats, there's the kits, and all of those things were not super clear. So then when we go into that and they're like, okay, give me your student count, give me your grade levels, how many teachers, then they give you a very crystal clear quote. So I think that's kind of I think if I would have reached out to them earlier and been like, okay, tell me all the comprehensive program, maybe they could have told me that before, but I don't do that with all of them. Usually.
So do you think that you might do that? in the
Yeah,
future?
I think so, especially if we knew that we were gonna go with one like that. So. I think you also just have to be, I need to be more mindful of all the different components that could be involved. Instead of thinking it's one program that you're adopting, like Amplify is one program. The quote for Amplify is Amplify. The quote for Twig was, like I said, multiple different things. So.
The science is kind of a unique animal in that needing all those different components.
Yeah, well,
So-
and for like Twig, one of the big expenses is like $15,000 to $20,000 a year of replacement kits. And they're like, well, just don't buy those for 7 years. It's like, well, that's not how our budget cycle works for curriculum and textbooks. Well, just don't get them and see if you can need them next year. It's like, well, I'm not going to buy a program that we're not going to get all of the pieces that the teachers might need and be like, okay, just make do with what you've got. So. Other than that, yes, board action. Then I can get moving on the next steps.
I just want to say something. So I did have a chance to go and look at the curriculum, and I was literally wowed. I just think that everybody is able to should be able to go in there because I had absolutely no idea. And the time, please, to these teachers, kudos to them, because I could actually tell the time and the amount of energy that went into all this. So, like I said, I was wowed. And I looked.
Yeah.
You know, I really looked. I looked good. So if you could do that,
Yeah, I will.
would appreciate
And
it.
yeah, the bare minimum of what this team commits to is monthly meetings. But oftentimes we meet more than once a month, and then as we dig in deeper, we do other meetings and, like I said, professional developments, and so they do a lot of work around it.
Since you, I would like to move to adopt the science curriculum. I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt the science curriculum. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. Thank you for all that work. Next up is we need to have a motion to declare an open budget committee position number 2. So this, we probably, Gary's talked about, I think, in our updates, and this person moved out of district in the last few weeks after we've already started the process. And so we'll declare it open now and go through the application process. Do you have anything else to say on that?
Nope.
So we just need a motion to declare position number 2 on the budget committee open.
I move that we declare the budget committee position number 2 open.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to declare the open budget committee position number 2 open. Any discussion?
I'd like to just clarify something there that we talked about this earlier. But that is not for this year's, it will be for next year.
Correct.
Thank you.
All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. We have a second reading of the proposed 2024-2025 budget meeting schedule, or I mean the board meeting schedule. And this does require board action.
I move to approve the schedule for the 2004-2005 school year for the school board meeting schedule.
We have a motion to approve the school board meeting schedule for 2024-2025. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. We also have a second reading of a few policies that are being updated. And this does require board action.
Can we do these one at a time, please?
Sure. Or we could just do them all and you can just ask questions, but it's up to you. So which ones do you have questions on?
IGB HD.
Okay, program exemptions, all right.
So it just states at the bottom. It will be the district that will determine if credit will be granted for any alternative activity. When they're talking about the district, who are they actually talking about?
Well, typically I would probably the high school registrar, what our internal policies are. So high school administration or myself. High school is the only, one of our buildings that issues credit. So probably first step would be the high school principal.
Go ahead with your other one. We'll just get your questions out of the way and we'll just do them all three at the same time.
Admission for foreign exchange students, JECBA-AR. And so it looks like that they are eliminating the approval for foreign exchange group organizations will be assigned priority status through lottery and thus placed on a fixed rotation.
Correct.
So they're taking that out. So what will be the process?
Process will be, I don't recall, I don't have this in front of me. Can you go up to the top? We increased to how many?
Number 2.
Yeah,
Second paragraph.
I understand. Before we had a limit of, we had a limit of what, and now our limit is what? It's not in 2, but somewhere in there.
Oh, 2 privately sponsored and number 8.
Okay, yeah, a limit of 2 votes.
Now it's not to exceed 8 different methods.
And it used to be 4?
2.
2. Yeah, so bottom line is it used to be real restrictive, very small number. I thought it was 4, but
Not to exceed 4.
not to exceed 4. So if they got, if we had 4 people, 4 foreign exchange students go through the process, then to get that 5th with it, and they would have to come through me. We'd have to talk about it. What are our class sizes like? Where's the kid coming from, et cetera. So we've expanded it to 8 before that process needs to come to me, doubled it, and then it doesn't, first of all, when I was first at high school, we implemented this policy and stuck to it. Apparently, in the last several years, we've kind of just got away from that. It's just the first people that come because they need to know those sponsorship programs. What I always hear from them is they need to know early. Like they've already got people signed up now to come to us in August. And so if we were to say, company Mark and company Gavin, they're the 2 on our priority, we're waiting for them. Then by the time they get back to us that they don't have anybody, and these organizations change a lot, then the other, we might reach out to the other ones at whatever time later in the summer, and they say, oh, well, ours are filled. So we've tried to make it, tried to expand it so we can have more of them if they're available, and make it more conducive to the calendar of the folks that are trying to get kids in. The one thing that will be a little harder on a hard line, I don't remember the exact date that's in the new policy. And I, Sid and I met and talked about this. I told her all the kind of things in play. And then she's the one that gave us the feedback in consultation. This policy was shared out with several of the local coordinators to get their ideas around implementing this. In particular, there were several emails I know with Tressa. We'll have a much harder deadline. So I don't, again,
August 1st, I think.
Okay, so August 1st. So if we're at 8, for example, and even if we're at 6, and oftentimes what happens is I'll get a call August 28th, right? We have an exchange student. Can we get them in? And as long as we're at our 8, and we've gotten to August 1st, the answer is gonna be no. We're gonna be much more strict to that. My experience has been, when we get an exchange student that last week of August, first week of September, oftentimes, not always, but oftentimes, it's because there's been a problem somewhere else. Hasn't worked out with their previous host family. There's been some kind of conflict, disruption, and typically, when that occurs with the students that we've had, it hasn't went as well. So our goal will be to get 8 in, get them in by August 1st, and then we'll close.
And so the cap is 8.
Cap is 8.
And then on page 2, the last paragraph. Documentation related to the incident may be maintained as a part of the student's education records. Additionally, a copy of the reported acts of hazing, harassment, intimidation.
You're talking about not this policy anymore. Different policy.
You're right. JFC. Yeah. Harassment, hazing.
Oh, I think those are the first.
I think that's
readings.
Yeah, so we'll only have second readings of 3.
Wait a minute.
And that policy is not even on the next one, so.
Okay. Okay.
The third one that's on our second reading tonight is public charter schools. I don't know if you had any questions on that
I
one.
don't.
Okay.
All right, unless there's any other questions, then we do need a motion to approve these policies, second reading.
I move that we approve the 3 proposed policy updates.
A motion is second to approve the 3 policy updates. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. All right, so then we have a few for next month. So this is the first reading on those. If you have any questions between now and then, we can always.
Yeah, if you get, sooner you get them to me, let me know, and I'll be a little more prepared. We have some. The main one is the student representative to the board. Actually, OSBA came out with some good language, and so we tried to incorporate that. And also, we used to just have one policy, but now we'll have a policy on this, and then an AR, which will describe how we, select and implement that policy.
All right, moving on, resolution 23-24/13, transfer students for 2024-25, and this does require board action.
To get this data, just so you know, we talked to the building principals. Let's see. You'll see that there's some grade levels where we'll accept a lot. High school, for example, and we'll never get to that, but we're basically open. Anybody who wants to come. The middle school, a little bit lower. At the elementary school, it kind of varies by grade. In particular, for example, 4th grade at Vita, we're full up there. If somebody wants to transfer in, assuming our enrollment projections are accurate come fall, we wouldn't be able to accept them.
I move that we approve resolution number 23-24/13.
So a motion is second to approve resolution 23-24/13. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. All right, moving on to alt ed programs.
So these are just programs that we have a relationship and a contract with. You'll recall a month or 2 ago, these have to be evaluated every year. So the way we do it in Lane County, instead of every district evaluating them all, one superintendent gets assigned one. So I was assigned to volunteer to do the Looking Glass Riverfront. So I went and visited them for a day, met with their director, wrote up a report, sent it to them. Now they're approved for the following year. All the school districts in Lane County, all the school boards in Lane County will go through this process, approving this list so that if a student is here in Fern Ridge and they would like to attend Looking Glass, and we agree that's a good placement for them, that they're an approved ODE school. We're following all the requirements with them, and our students can attend there.
So these are all the programs that we can transfer our kids to?
Well, not necessarily transfer to, but these are ones that the money can flow through to. So Gavin and his family come and say, hey, you know, we really think this school here fits Gavin's needs, our family needs based on the program better. We agree, and we say, okay. So then that school bills us. We're still collecting the money for student Gavin. They bill us, we pay, you know, pass the money through them to support that student's tuition. Sometimes the placements also is school initiated. So I might say, student Mark here, we really think this program is the best for you. Parents agree. And in those situations, then we even provide transportation and busing. When it's at the parent request and we're just saying, okay, we want to support you, then Gavin can get on a bus if we already have one going there. But if it's a program that we already don't have a student in, then it's parent responsibility to get their stand there if they're just going there by choice.
And so if the parent decides to move the student to a school that's not on this approved list, we lose the fund totally for that.
Yeah, it would kind of depend on the program. I think there's very few that aren't on this proved alternative school list. If they're an alternative school in Lane County and they aren't on this list, they're not gonna have any students. So they an alternative school that's going to, I think, be you know, viable probably needs to be on this list. Otherwise, they're getting funded in some other way. Maybe it's just, you know, it's like a homeschool, right? I'm starting Gary's alternative school and I'm charging tuition, and maybe Barbara submits for a release from compulsory education. And so there are other options, but as far as students that are still engaging with public school, this is the process.
Okay.
All right, so we do need board action to approve the alternate education programs listed.
I make a motion to approve the alternate education program for 2024 to 2025 school year.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the alternate education programs for 2024-2025 school year. Any other discussion? All those in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Next up is staff exit survey.
Yeah, this is really a conversation for you guys, but at the last meeting, there were some questions and I reached out to OSBA. I think I sent you in an email what they said, but just to summarize, I went into the survey and changed the header. The new language states this: when I leave Fern Ridge and if I elect to take this exit survey, it starts out saying, this survey is an opportunity for school administration and the school board to gather valuable information about employee impressions that the school or district has done well and the areas where there is room for growth. This survey can be taken anonymously, and you do not have to disclose information that may identify you through either your work location or position. Thanks for your feedback and contributions to Fern Ridge School System. We wish you the best of luck. And I also sent you all the questions, which, if you recall, you know, when I first created this, it was really about giving whoever is leaving an opportunity to discuss things that they're building and their direct supervisors. So I sent those 10 questions to you. I didn't change any of the questions other than I did make it possible for them to skip them, or before it wasn't. Before it was, what building do you work at? They had to check Fern Middle School before they went to the next item. So the two changes I made to the survey, that new language on the header, and made it so they didn't have to answer all the questions, and really clarified right at the start that, you know, what we're using this information for. I inserted the folks in there and let them know they could, you know, try to take it anonymously. That's what they wanted to do.
And so what we're looking for board action is, do we want to have this information shared with us once a year, like say in August, or twice a year, maybe August in January or February? Or else do we not want the information shared with us? So I would entertain a motion for any of those, and then we can have discussion. It's up to the board.
Well, I move to, have it twice a year.
We have a motion.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second to have this information passed to us twice a year. Any other discussion?
I just want to say that I'm having the changes of having the employee, the separating employees know that it could be shared with the school board, and the opportunity to take it anonymously address all of my concerns. So I don't have any issues with it now.
Yeah, the thing I think the board will need to decide, you know, I'm gonna leave all the questions the same, so maybe if we go to this model, which I support, you might want to look at the 10 questions. So what is it we're really trying to get, or what is it the board really wants? Do they want me to decide what we're wanting, and I'm just sharing that with you? Or is this really a board survey, and we really want specific information about some certain topics? Then I'll look, you know, I just created these 10 questions based on other districts, what they gave me, I pulled some. So I would suggest that in August, we look at those 10 questions and see if you want to change the focus groups.
Yeah, and I also want to address in August, bringing back the short version of the previous survey that we put out, just with the questions based on how's the board doing, and maybe how's the superintendent doing, and that's it, instead of that really long one that we put out.
I think we're gonna discuss that a little bit here.
Yeah.
Later in next month, so.
Yeah.
So I have a question then, is tonight only to approve whether we're going to move forward with this? Because there's been a lot of discussion and no real answers. So
What the motion is to have to have the information shared with us from the staff survey, exit survey.
Right.
So that's gonna happen, and it's happening twice a year.
So just vote.
So we just need to vote on that.
and that's all we're voting on. We'll have discussion and everything later.
In
About-
August, like
about how
Gary
to-
said, we could have discussion on the questions, and if we want to redirect the focus of the.
Just to make sure the motion is for August and January, is that?
Well, it does twice a year. I said those are just days
Yeah. So that would probably be good if we clarified when.
I would propose August and February so that we can capture as many exit surveys prior
Sure.
to.
Yeah. Okay. So August, you know,
The motion
we'll
is
just-
twice a year, but we can,
February, early August. I think the goal will be before the retreat for sure. So that's
Sure.
usually the first, second week of August. That gets you information before then. But again, what we really need to decide is, do you like the 10 questions that we have? I would recommend we probably keep them the same to August. But then if you want to look at changing them, then that might be a good time
on the agenda for our August work session.
I like that.
All right, any other discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5. All right, moving on to personnel. We have a number of new hires, and it's like one resignation. that we need to have board action.
I move that we accept resignation, new hires, transfers, and others as written.
We have a motion and a second to approve the resignation, new hires, and transfers as written. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. All right. We have just a report on, was there any in the non-licensed? I think there was yeah, a couple resignations. All right. Moving on, any late items or closing comments? I just had two things that I'd share. As far as CTE stuff that's happening in the county, there's a new emergency services CTE pathway that's being developed through the SD, and Shereen Vogel is a person that's doing that. I've been assisting someone with that, along with Chief Caven from Eugene Springfield Fire and Chief Wallace from Mohawk. Most likely there'll be a pilot that Mohawk's going to do starting in January of 25. And then hopefully moving into that next fall with a full blown, it'll be similar to the construction CTE pathway that they do at the Hope, where there'll be students from each district or each school that usually probably 2 or 3 juniors or seniors that would start in junior. Mostly it's wildland fire, hazmat, and EMS type classes. So, just information. And then also next month, just so you know ahead of time, Kristen Miles is going to come on from OSBA and talk about board self-evaluations and superintendent evaluations, the programs that are offered through OSBA. So she'll be zooming into our meeting and giving a presentation on that. Any other late items or closing comments? All right, I think a lot of stuff was covered on the upcoming events. There's no school this Friday for Teacher Workday, then of course Memorial Day on the 27th. That wasn't covered. Spring band and choir concert at the middle school on June 6th, and 8th grade promotion is on June 11th. And unless there's any objection, we will adjourn. Thank you.